This video is going to show you how to work with tenants. So the first thing I need you to do is you're going to start a loop for them. You're going to go to My KW, go to My Transactions, click on Messages, and that's going to open up .loop. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and hit Create a Loop. Yours may look like this. However, I like mine in the list view. It just looks a little bit cleaner, so I clicked on this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Loop. I'm going to name it your tenant's names because you're not going to have a property address whenever you're first looking for a property. So I'm just going to put Billy and Sue. For my purposes, I'm going to name this tenant video loop. One thing you need to know about .loop is there is no way to delete a loop, but you can archive loops. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to add them as people. And so you're going to hit add person here and put Bill, say Bill Cooper. If he's in my eEdge database, his email will show up like it just did there. If he's not, then whenever you put them in .loop, then it will put them in your eEdge database and you'll get a text message saying you have a new contact. And it's just because you added them to .loop. So on roll, you're going to hit tenant and I'm going to hit add person. And then I'm going to add the other person. And it is Sue. I'm going to make her Susie. Just for an example, since as if I don't have her email address. So it's going to be Susie Cooper at, let's just say, AT&T.net. I'm going to make roll. She is going to be a tenant as well. And hit add person. Now, after that, what you're going to do is you're going to add documents. And how you know which documents you need is by that checklist, that compliance checklist. So I'm going to pull that up right there. I'm looking for a buyer tenant, buyer leasing right here. So I need the information about broker services, the buyer tenant representation agreement. I'm going to need an application per tenant. And then later you'll get on to the agreement between brokers and all that other good stuff. So going back over here to .loop, I'm going to add document from templates. That's where your contracts are. You're going to go down to tenant leasing. I need the IABS, the buyer tenant representation agreement, and the residential lease application. Now you can only add one application at a time, so I'm going to go ahead and hit add documents. And then I'm going to add one more application. So I got to do the same thing. Go to tenant leasing, go to residential lease application, hit add documents. And there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and put these in order so that way I can keep it in line with what that compliance checklist sheet says. It just makes it easier to check and make sure that you're in compliance. Okay, so I've got two lease applications here. I need to name them, one for Bill, one for Susie, so I know whose is whose. So I'm going to hit the little arrow down here, and I'm going to hit rename. So I'm just going to put Bill, hit enter, and then do the same thing for her. Rename Susie, hit enter. There you go, they're renamed. All right, so the very first thing is I'm going to go ahead and open up the IABS. Remember, you do have to get this signed by anybody you have a substantial conversation about real estate with. By law, we have to do that. So it's asking me, do you want autofill? Make sure this is correct. Bill and Susie are the tenants. I am the tenant agent. So I'm going to click on that and hit myself. Hit autofill. And there you go. It autofilled some of my information, my license number. Just going to put, just make up something, but yours is going to be on your hard card. It's a 6-digit number. Go ahead and hit the date there. So we'll make it today's date. And then you see that their initials are here. That means that they will be able to electronically sign it, and that's what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and then back. And it says this document has not been shared. Would you like to share it? I never share things one at a time. I always share them together. So I'm going to hit no. That will keep you from sending, 7 emails. They'll get one email saying, hey, you need to sign 7 documents. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and click on residential buyer tenant representation agreement. I need to get this all filled out. Again, make sure this is correct. Buying broker is going to be Keller Williams The Woodlands. Tenant agent is myself. I'm going to hit autofill. And then it puts in some of their information here. I'm going to go ahead and start filling this in. There is a video on how to explain the IABS and the buyer's rep to be able to get them signed. So make sure you watch that, and that will go over how to explain these documents. It is something that I would go over with your clients versus just emailing it to them. So if you email it or you share it through Dotloop and then call them on the phone and go over it, or better yet is honestly to sit down with them, have a buyer's consultation or a tenant consultation prior to ever taking them out to show them properties. And then that's where you would get these things signed. And you can go ahead and get the applications filled out at that time. Okay. Okay, you're going to put what areas you're showing them. So let's say we're saying Montgomery and Harris counties. Wherever you plan on showing the properties, make sure you put it in there. I'm going to put that the agreement begins today. And depending on whenever they're planning on moving into their lease is kind of how long you would extend it. I'm just going to go out 6 months, but let's say they were looking to move in March. I'd probably go out through the end of April. Just give yourself some extra time in case they extend a lease and can't find what they're looking for. When it is orange like that, that means it's asking you to sign. So I'm going to go ahead and hit initial sign now, adopt and sign, and then it puts my electronic signature there. You can see their initials are here, so they'll be able to electronically sign. This blank right here, if they're working with a relocation company, you need to put something there. If not, just put NA. I'm always going to check the box for intermediary. That means I can show them any properties on the market. If I check no intermediary status, that means I cannot show them any Keller Williams, Woodlands, or Magnolia properties. Right down here, commission. I'm going to go ahead and put 3% in case they were to buy. And then right here, check this box for 50%. 50% of 1 month's rent is typically how much you get paid on a rental. Sometimes you'll see that like 4.166% on an MLS sheet. And what that means is that's the percentage times the months times the total rent amount. So it actually comes out to be about 50%. Listing agents just do that in case like it's a shorter term lease, like 3 or 6 months. The landlord doesn't end up paying as much in commission. Okay, right here, construction company. So if the client was going to be building a home, and this is more for a buyer, not for a tenant, but if they're going to be building a home with like a builder, a custom builder, then you would want to put 3% here to ensure that you're going to get paid by that custom builder. So again, this is a rental. I'm going to put NA. Typically, you would know if you're working with that kind of client or not when it's a buyer. If a buyer is just looking at resale or traditional builders like David Weekley, Darling, the ones that have it built into their contract that they're going to pay you, you don't necessarily have to put anything there other than NA. Service providers, if you are being paid by Comcast, AT&T, any kind of providers like that, you need to disclose it here. If not, put NA. Protection period, I typically put 60 days there. You can make it as little or as much as you want. But I typically put 60 days. Okay, hit sign now, the initials. County, all amounts paid in Montgomery County. If it's for a lease, you don't have any other addenda other than the information about brokerage services. Don't put anything in special provisions unless you're representing like a family member. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and sign here. Sign here. Broker's associate signature. Make sure that their names are here and their names are there. Then we're going to hit save. And your buyer's rep is done. So I'm going to hit back. Would you like to share it? No. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is go into the applications. You're not necessarily going to go know the landlord's names. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure the tenants are right. I'm going to hit autofill. Okay, so I did just make a mistake with this because each application it's for their own, one application per tenant. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back and not save that. And the reason is because it has both of their names on it. So I want to make sure that I only have his name on his and her name on hers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it again. And this time it didn't ask me to autofill, but what you can do is you go to other actions, hit autofill. And this time I'm going to take out Susie and just put no one and hit autofill. Okay, well, for some reason it's still putting her name. So what you're just backspace. And then take out her email. Now, the application is not something you're going to fill out. What you can do, the only thing, put your name here. And then what I want to do is I want to come down here and just make sure he has his initials on it so that way he can sign. There you go. It says Bill sign here. Where it says tenant can be signed by tenant Susie Cooper. I want to make sure that doesn't allow her to sign. So I'm going to click on it. It turns it blue. Come up here and hit no one. And so that way only Bill will be able to sign that right there. And then same thing on this one as well. So I'm going to hit no one. And that's it. I'm going to hit save. And then that is going to be for them to fill out, not you. I hit back. And I'm going to do the same thing for Susie. Again, I'm going to change tenant 1 to Susie, take out him as tenant 2, and hit autofill. Do the opposite here. Okay. Same thing as we did on his application. Go ahead and hit no one there. And same thing on the last page, hit no one. And then that way she's the only one who signs. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to hit back. Now, if you want them to electronically fill out these applications, what you're going to do is you're going to put a check mark next to them, hit share, and then there's going to be checks next to the name. What you need to do is instead of can sign, I want to hit can fill and sign. Same thing for her, fill and sign. You can type them a little message, say, hey guys, go ahead and fill these out for me, please. That way, when we find the correct property, the application's ready to go. I also never have them fill in a property address until we find the property. And so what you're going to need to do is with tenants, you're really going to have to do a lot of background work as far as you need to be asking them, okay, how much money do you make to make sure that they can qualify for the lease that they're looking for? Also, you're going to need to know basically if they have decent credit or not. And the reason I say that is because I don't, it'd be better to be able to call a listing agent and say, these are the type of tenants that I'm working with. Um, do they, have a really good shot of getting this house before they go and submit applications and application fees, and they've spent all this money trying to get approved with the potentially not being approved. So a buyer, the mortgage lender is the one checking all their credit and doing all that stuff. With a tenant, you have to do a little bit more of the research ahead of time. Also, before you go and show rentals, call the agent, make sure it's actually still available. It'll just save you work in the long run. Uh, so before you share these, the other thing you want to do is you want to click on show other options and click attach PDF to email. That will send it as a PDF on the bottom of the email. So if they want to print it out and fill it out, they can. And then all you do is hit share. And then once you do that, it will say waiting on others here. And once they're done, it will say signed. Now the other two documents, you're going to share those together. And you're just going to hit share. And with these, you just want it to say can sign because you don't want them to be able to change what you've written in there. So again, you can type them a little message just saying, guys, I need these two signed in order for me to be able to fully represent you and work on your behalf rather than working on the behalf of the landlord. Again, attach PDF to email and hit share. So that's the first half of working with tenants. So get started with this video, and then once the application has been accepted, you're going to watch the second half of working with tenants.